Hey, hey, hey. How is everyone doing? You're
Hello.
all on time, like actual time, not just realtor time.
How are you?
Impressive. Good, good. It's going to be there's a lot of exciting stuff going on in the world of like organizational model and what's going on and things. So I'm excited to mastermind around stuff and get some real life things that are happening out in and talking about it and masterminding, and so it's just perfect timing here.
Good.
Who wants to share, as people are getting on still, but who would like to share some good news? It can either be like personal or something related around like the organizational or growing or leadership or something that we've talked about. Anyone have any fun, good news to share?
I can share. So we're at the 60-day point with our new EA hire, and we just started taking the perfect real estate assistant through Monica Reynolds for MAPS coaching, and it's been like the first class was for me. It was a ton of info, and then she texted me as soon as it just finished today, and she said this was so much so much info. So I'm really excited to see that taking her to the kind of beyond where I can train. It's a really good resource.
Love that.
Excellent.
The way that class is set up is it's 1 day, 1 week is for the rainmaker, the other like 2 or 3 is for the assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to take them all. It's good to be on them all too, and see them all and hear what they're saying, because that is your ultimate leverage for sure. And did that just start last week, Dawn?
Yes. Yep. So I went last week, and then they told us not to. They said we could watch the replay, but they said don't come to the assistant one because then they might not feel as comfortable sharing. So I thought that's fair. I'll catch it on the replay.
That's very true. It's like why we have organizational model masterminds and why we have operations masterminds. And when I was leading them both, it was fun because I got to hear like both sides of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Any other good news?
Sure. Like, I'm pretty sure Scott's just talking to me right now. I sent out an offer letter to a full-time executive assistant candidate, and hopefully she will accept. I have a Zoom call with her scheduled at 3:30 after this to go over it together. So freaking out a little bit, but it'll be good. It's a good nervousness.
When's she gonna start? Provided she accepts.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that was something I wanted to talk about today. Because like, just to make payroll easier, is it just to, or does it matter? Can we figure that out? But
yeah, we can dive into that because we have Dawn that just started with that, and we have some good info. And I believe as of last month, Joe and Jeff were looking at hiring an EA, and so it's very, very timely.
mm-hmm.
We hired yesterday. We just pulled the trigger on an OSA through Cyberbackers. And so that's a virtual assistant company that's run by Craig Goodlife and Rich Rector out of KW. They're both KW agents. So we got someone, we don't have them, but we committed to it. And now they're going to bring us candidates and all of that. We can talk about that process and how it works, but we're also looking at getting someone locally. So like we're really in the thick of this. It could be smart, it could be dumb, I don't know yet. Time will tell. But we're looking at like, we need an OSAs. We want to go all in. So this is our missing piece, I believe. And I want to have 2 so so not one person's like on call all the time. We can separate their hours. And then hopefully if one locally is good, then they have someone else that they can technically manage, and create this like director of lead gen over time. So we're just really looking at building out our lead generation wing. Because I want to, can you guys hear me? My internet went out.
Yeah, you're good.
I mean, when you look at, I can go over like plan and vision and things like that if there's a little bit of time, but like, I mean, in 3 years, if we're not selling like 400 deals a year, I won't be happy. I'll be disappointed. So it's like making the decisions and doing the things now, because the future is so clear of where we want to go and what we want to get to. So that's good news for me. All right, I want to get started. Like I said, some people weren't on the call yet, but like this is I got a lot of timely stuff to talk about today. And I want to start with the executive assistant piece, because what is the first quote unquote hired? It takes you from level 1 to level 2.
Admin.
Exactly. So let's start here. I'm gonna review these a little bit today. This is the 7 levels of the candy cane forest. Right, that's from Elf, favorite movie. 7 levels to build your team. So level 1 is you. Everyone is a level 1 agent, at least if you're alive and you're in real estate. Now to get to level 2, and now this seems elementary, but like the concept of this is so foreign. And if you've never studied this, if you don't know this, I guarantee you 99 out of 100 people, what do they add first?
Buyer agent.
Exactly. So just knowing this piece is setting you apart from everyone. And so the most timely EA hire and what you had to do, I'd just love to hear your point of view on it. Allison, for those of you who are a little late, she just put out an offer yesterday, meeting with someone today right after our mastermind to like finalize it all. And it's one thing to say, I think we're all getting to be masters of the career visioning process, meaning where to go for candidates, the screening process, the KPA, the 4 interviews, the group interview, the defense, the references. I think we're starting to become masters at that. But then it's like the next level is like, oh shit, I have to like put in an offer. And now this is like a real life person. And so there's the offer piece, and then there's the 30, 60, 90 piece. And then there's really like day 91 to eternity, hopefully, if you did it right. So from your, because it's so new and so raw, like what are you hoping to talk about? What questions do you have? What did you learn? Just open forum here.
Okay, so my hands are sweating. I learned a lot. I learned that it's definitely takes a lot of effort and energy to go through the entire process the right way. But I also realized that I got to the point where I had my top 3 candidates, and I dwindled it down to 1 after the life story and motivational interviews, because I was able to see a lot of their personality show through in that interview process. And I'm super thankful for that, because that's super important to me in finding an admin, somebody who I'm just going to jive with personality wise, and we're not going to have clashing personalities. And yeah, what else? I guess today I just have more logistical questions and how to get started. And like, can she come in a few hours a week to train before her official start date? And like, what's, as far as days off and like paid vacation, what's normal? Because I looked at Katie's, Katie Piachecki, how do you say her last name?
Pacheco?
Pacheco. And I'm like, well, you had like 40 days or something.
No. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know about 40. I think we had 4 weeks.
4 weeks. 4
Yeah.
weeks. 4 weeks.
She's
Is
also been, that wasn't her initial one. That was like, that was our revised one after, I mean, she's been with me for 5 years now. So.
Oh, okay. That's what I was going to ask. Is that the original one or not? Okay.
Okay. So let's go with like, okay, one of the, like, start with a question and then we'll round table it.
Okay.
I think this is super beneficial for everyone.
Okay. So, in my offer letter, I put a start date of April, was it Monday, April 5th. And so would it make sense to have her come in a few hours a week before that to like work with Libby? Or is it just like starting Monday, April 5th? Like, I know that's like the simplest question, like what? I don't know.
So we did a start date as a start date. So it's, but also we weren't having her shadow anybody, but it was like the first day, there's a lot of paperwork to do and like things to just kind of like get into. So like we didn't do much, like we gave her a tour of the office and like things like the first day was not like, now you're working. It's like, here's, we're getting you set up to, here's what our 30, 60, 90 plan is. Here, let's get you logged into resources, get things kind of like that set up. So it depends on what you're going for, I think.
Okay.
I would say, yeah, like, you really want the first like week or two to be as structured as possible. And I like the idea. I think of like the way schools start. They might do like, they either start Labor Day week where you have 4 days instead of 5, or they might start like the Thursday and Friday before, or something that just like gets the kids like slowly integrated versus just like, here's a 5-day week. I do kind of like the idea of saying, all right, well, let's do 2 half days the week before, for example. 1 half day is going to be orientation, paperwork, tour, here's the stuff, here's everything, here's the 30, 60, 90, or whatever. The next day could be like some shadowing, some basic stuff, and then you're back for a full week, the next week. But that also depends on like, do they have a job already? Like, you don't necessarily want them to take off just for a half day, and just kind of dink around. So it would depend on that too. But I think you can't go wrong either way, as long as it's really clear and thought out and structured.
Yeah.
Like if she's going to have a couple days off before, ask her. You
Right.
can even ask and just say, this is what I was thinking. I want to get your take on it. Like, what would work best? And then you say, I would love it if we could have like a 1 or 2 half days the week prior, and we could just get you set up, get you with a lot of the stuff. Or would you just work to just start, right away Monday? Because she may want a couple days off. She may need to work. Like, so I think the best case scenario would be to ask. Like,
Yeah.
it just popped in my head. Duh.
But then are you paying her for that time?
Yeah,
I'd like to, yeah.
Yeah, I
definitely.
was gonna say, because that would seem weird if you weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe maybe you're like, hey, let's go to lunch together. Or I'll pay for lunch, or like, I don't know, something like that maybe instead. But
Mhm. Yeah. Dawn, is your gal in the office 5 days a week?
No,
Okay. Do you require her to be in the office at all?
we come in on Tuesdays. And then there's other times that like, if there's a day, like we kind of decide together each week, like what days are we going to the office together. So there was a day that we were assembling envelopes. We were all there on Monday. So it's kind of week by week.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still, I guess that's a conversation I need to have with her too, with what's her comfort level with coming into the office with COVID. And I have no idea. I guess I don't want to just be like, you're required to be here 5 days a week when that's not what she wants to do, but I don't know.
Dawn, how did you train Kim in like a more virtual setting? Because the goal, or this is a graph, and you guys are going to be like, oh my gosh, you're such an amazing artist again. But like, I can't find that. I can draw it faster than I can find it, but you'll get the idea. So if this is the graph, and you say, you know, the first day, this is day 1 right here, and this is day 90.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is like, this is the level of like supervision or whatever, micromanagement or structure on day 1. And then this is the amount of freedom, right? And as you get going along the process, like the first month is very structured. It's very much like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what it is. What did you do today? What your questions? How did it go? And as you find a right candidate, like that amount of structure and like, you know, closing the loop and doing all that, it should go down to a point where like with Katie, like I don't ever really ask them necessarily what they're doing, where they are, because it's like I don't need to. But when you start them off, you've got to earn that right. You can't just give them that right.
Yep.
And when I used to teach high school, if I went in there on the first day and was like, hey guys, this is going to be awesome. We don't have a syllabus, like whatever, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like I would get eaten alive.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the concept of teaching is you got to be really hard and structured the first day, and then play it by ear as how much you can like loosen up and give.
Yep.
So how did you do that, Dawn, with more of a virtual environment?
It was a challenge. That was one of my worries, was like, in this environment, how do you do this? So what we ended up doing, the first couple of days were in the office together. And then we developed a 30, 60, 90 that I felt was really step by step. So it was like, okay, here's really what you're focusing on in the first 30 days. And then we would schedule at least an hour a day that we were together for the first week over Zoom. And then after those first 2 days, and then after that, it was like some days an hour, some days like half an hour, just like a 15-minute check-in. So we'd check in each day. What are you doing today? And I just provided her with resources where it was like, okay, she's got the command log, and she's got, she can go in there and play around, and then she'd have tasks that she'd do. So I'd give her a task. She'd show me when it was done. There were some training videos that I gave her, like YouTube. There's a couple of really people who are really good at explaining command, more than just like the 66-day challenge, like really in depth. And so I would give her a list of resources. So it took time for me to come up with that. It was a lot to come up with. And then she had a task where it was like, okay, enter a contact into command and make sure that you're using our tagging system. So now she's showing me that she's learned our tagging system. And make sure you've got, these pieces in there. And so it's like, she'd have those tasks. So it's kind of like she'd have the assignment, and then here's like the culminating piece so that I know she's got that. And then we're checking in along the way.
Cool.
Okay.
So I would really default to like when you have that expectation conversation with any new hire, any position, anything, you have the expectation conversation. Do you have the questions from career visioning that you would ask?
Yeah, I have the packet printed out right here.
And this wouldn't necessarily be this one because she still hasn't accepted the job, but like,
Or are you talking about like before the expectation conversation?
yeah, like Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, how do you, how honest you want me to be with you?
Yeah,
This is what
yeah.
honesty means to me.
Yep.
So that will be the next, like, once she officially accepts it, that would be like a day one thing, or, right, that would be like, hey, she's accepted the position. Right now, they're probably still going to have questions that you're going to like answer and whatever. I mean, maybe she just is jumping for joy and wants to sign it, but I'm guessing she'll probably have questions, and there'll probably be some things you iron out.
Yeah.
And then once it's signed, like, that's the day one. It's like expectation conversations, 30, 60, 90. But what I would use, and this goes for, I believe Joe is still looking at hiring right now. And so this goes for anyone in an environment that's kind of like hybrid right now. We don't really know what to do, virtual or in person, or it's both. Ask those questions, like, and I wouldn't be afraid to say, like, hey, I would prefer it if you could be in the office as much as possible, or whatever. I want to make things comfortable. Like, this is what I was thinking, just like kind of talk through those conversations,
Mhm.
and then ask them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So part of the reason why I kind of wanted to extend her start date is because I still have some shit to figure out with like payroll and stuff. So your CPA, I guess I'm just kind of asking the group, does your CPA have a payroll system that can just direct deposit into their account? Like basically work like, okay.
Yeah, our CPA, the CPA I have, and the reason why I have them and I love them is because they have it's a CPA. They do payroll. They do retirement and investment. They do every piece, so it all talks to each other.
Yeah.
So I don't have to like get my payroll documents to my accountant, and I don't have to get tax documents to my payroll, and all of this. It's just like they just have it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's probably just as simple as my CPA is going to be like, here's a direct deposit form for her to fill out, and then give it back to me, and then I'll set it up, and then it'll come directly out of my account.
Yeah. So I would, Jill, my CPA is like, I can't tell you how much I love that company. He's so creative, and he's the one that's helping form like the entity to like pool money together and buy properties. Like, he's very strategic. He's super wealthy. He owns a ton of storage units from across the country. Just like a really high level and high net worth person that knows like all the intricacies of like saving money. So he's the CPA for our office. He's the CPA of Germantown. He does our personal stuff. I think Chris Ruskowitz uses them. I think CJ uses them. Jeff and Joe use them. He's like making his way all around. So it's like, he knows KW very well. So Katie just put the link in. Do you have his like cell phone, Tim's? Otherwise I can put it in the chat.
I'll find it. I have Ryan's info.
Yeah, do Ryan. Ryan would be better.
That's who I've worked with, is Ryan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the one I've used for the last couple of years, I mean, they're good, but like we use the chart of accounts, and like it's taken him a couple of years, and he just still really struggles with our chart of accounts. So, and Nicole, my office admin, she's got that system down so well. So I'd rather work with a CPA that is familiar with it, because we find like we're just constantly re-explaining things to him.
Yep.
Thank you.
So
Mm-hmm.
As far as additional paperwork, I just wanted to get her the offer letter as soon as possible, because she told me that she had another job offer. And so as far as like the compensation agreement, and I don't even know what else she would need to like necessarily sign. do I send that all to her prior to start date, or should we just go over all of that like when she comes into the office?
I think you would want to sign like all that, like that, what I sent you of like Katie is like
Yeah.
what you would have. You know, this offer letter is a great way to say, all right, we're good. Like we both agree to these terms.
Yeah.
But if you had something a little more detailed, like what I had for Katie, and
Mhm.
and just say, okay, cool. It's kind of like it's like a letter of intent. If you do anything commercial, you start with a letter of intent and then you do the offer. Very similar concept where now you have this this job description or this compensation plan. I would get that signed before day one, and then day one you're doing expectation conversations. You
Okay.
can dive deep into the 30, 60, 90,
Okay.
and you can do more stuff like that. Get the payroll documents done. You could even maybe send those beforehand to have her fill out.
Okay.
But any payroll company will know, like, hey, I need the documents to get them set up in payroll. And the beautiful thing, you got to really hold these people accountable to actually being your leverage. Like if you wanted to be a payroll company, then start a payroll company. But if they're asking you questions like, oh, give me this or give me that, I'm like, no, that's what I'm hiring you for. Like, I'm
Yeah.
hiring you to save time. I don't want to do the documents. I don't want to do this crap. I don't know anything about payroll. I'm relying on you to make sure that it's done. So even if like your person has questions like, oh well, I would really default to a CPA. I can get you on the phone with my CPA, or if you have one, because like that's not really stuff that we need to be dabbling in. Oh, what should I claim? What number should I put for dependents or what? Like, I don't know. Like that's
Mhm.
tax advice.
Right.
So maybe you just say like, oh, I have a CPA. You can call them. You can talk through it all. It could be it's my cost. You just pay like $100 or whatever it would take to like get that all squared away if they need it.
Okay.
Joe, where are you at with EA? Maybe you can't talk. And then anybody else? Terry, you're on kind of showing partner mode, I believe, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I have a lot to talk about on showing partner too today.
Is it from the stuff I sent you?
Yeah, that and other stuff and things like
Okay.
that for sure. Yep.
Very
It's a
good.
hot topic right now.
Awesome. And I have a EA candidate I'm interviewing on Friday.
Okay, so you're going to be you're
Both.
looking at doing both.
Yep.
Okay. Ah.
Leverage, leverage, leverage.
Okay.
I'm so behind on this that I need to just step it up and get it done.
Okay. While I asked Terry a couple of questions, if there's anything I always want to know, the one question that I always want to know is let me just pull it up, but it is, oh damn it. What's your your biggest need from a leadership standpoint right now? What's your biggest need, your biggest question, your biggest struggle, or your biggest, thought or plan? Like if you could just put those in the chat as we're talking through this. But there's so much that we have that is actually happening, that it's really cool to talk about, because whatever like Terry's going through or Allison or whoever the case may be, like the benefit is we all get to learn from it. So if you have something really, really that you want to talk about, I'd love for you to say it. And yeah, perfect showing. So Terry, you're looking at hiring an EA and a showing partner. If there was one of the two that would be most beneficial to you right now, which would it be?
I think it's both because I already have the showing partner working with me doing showing. So that's taking some of that off of me. And then I just kind of had a big aha moment last week that, it's like, oh, I got these other projects I have to do before I work on hiring an EA. But if I get an EA started, then I just need to, time block some time with them, but get them started. And then that's going to open it up for me to work on these other things. So I think it's important to do both. And I guess I didn't think that hiring them both at the same time was gonna be a problem, but Bailey's already working with me as a showing agent. So he's helping me. So we're just going through the process of this career visioning now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What's your feedback on that? That's bad?
I would never say good or bad, because that's like, I would say, when I say good or bad, that would be like I'm judging people, and I don't want it to ever be judgy, but I want it to be like, hey, here's a model, here's a gauge, this is a coaching tool. Like, let's discuss pros and cons each way. Like, let's discuss what we've done that's been good or bad, that's made a mistake or a success. And from a standpoint of an executive assistant, because we've been on that topic so far, what have you done so far? What have you done so far to like to find candidates? Like, where are you at in that process?
So I've previously done ads, and that was back in January. And I did some phone interviews and just didn't really find anybody I was interested in pursuing. And now I found somebody through my sphere, and I'm pursuing her. So it's not like a competition thing, which I think is always better to like have multiple people. But I know her already, and I feel like she's a good candidate. So that's why I'm moving forward with that. Otherwise, I was focusing on the showing partner. However, I have a question for you because I was working with the showing agent before, so that hasn't changed. So I'm just making it more official now, going through the CV process to make sure it's the right fit and everything.
Yep. So you would take this candidate for EA through career visioning as well?
I already started.
Okay.
I have yeah.
Cool. So there's one part of career vision that always makes me laugh. It's about because it's the whole point of it is to vision their career, whether it's with you or not. But a part of that is like personality, obviously. Like, are they wired for this job? And the best example I always have is like, I think it's Zach Shipley. So like, and I hope he's not in the background. But like, if there was a job where he could wake up and just like play video games every day and make like 200 grand a year, you'd be perfect for it. I know there is, whatever. But like, if you're naturally want to wake up and do what your job entails doing, then you are a 100% job match on the KPA. A KPA doesn't mean they're 100% match on skill and what the skills have. It's just trying to match personalities to the job. Because if you have every single day where you wake up and you have to like talk yourself into, oh my God, I got to go do this. I got to go be an OSA. I got to go make outbound calls. And that's not in your personality. Then you're going to have health problems. You're going to start struggling. You're going to get lack of sleep. You're probably going to be depressed, and you're probably going to get a new job very quickly. And so the slide I love, it says the best way to determine personality from someone. And it says, ask personality questions, take a personality assessment, or live with them for 3 months. Like it's like an ABC. Well, obviously, the best way to determine their personality is to live with them for 3 months. And so when you know someone already, I think there's such an advantage to that. When you know how someone is, how they act, what's going on, there is a huge advantage. That doesn't mean you don't KPA them, because now you're multiplying that likelihood of a fit, but of a match, I should say. But when you don't know them, you're relying on these questions and the KPA to do that for you. When with career visioning, it's really hard to BS every single step. It's super easy to BS 1 or 2 interviews. Trust me, I know. I had like 9 jobs in 4 or 5 years. I was a great BSer. But like, if you have to BS like the initial call, and then the KPA, and then the thought process, and then the motivation, and then the life story, and then a group interview, and then the references, like that's a lot to manage. Like they would be a professional BSer. So long story short, I love the idea that they're from your sphere. You already know them, so I think that's a great piece.
And it was a candidate that Allison interviewed too. So
Okay.
and
So
she knows her too.
She was my second choice.
nice. So can I share a story on like hiring multiple people at once?
Story
Yeah.
time.
So, and I've done it multiple times. So I'm a slow learner. But when KW was getting started, New Berlin, like right around launch. So this was like April of 2017. I was hellbent on hiring for my team a director of lead generation. So I did career visioning, got some great candidates, put out a job offer to someone. She turned me down, like cold hearted. It was Katie, by the way.
That's what I think.
And then I hired my second choice. And so I hired this person. Well, then Andy Gebert left. So I needed a team leader. And right before that, I hired Michelle. And then a little kid came out of nowhere named Alex, a recommendation from a top TL talent, whatever. And I was like, shoot, I'm not looking at hiring, but we'll see. Yeah, you're hired. So long story short is I had Paul, Alex, Michelle, and Kim all at once. And these were all basically on me. Then just recently, just this last year, at the end of the year, we hired a productivity coach, an assistant MCA, which was really Allison, but then we had to hire a DFI and a VA for the office. And at that time, for Germantown, we hired TL, compliance broker, an MCA, and a DFI within a matter of 3 months. And I didn't hire any of them, so that was awesome. That's a great like, it makes me feel good. But even with that many hires at once, it was insane. But going back to I'll just say my team. When I had Paul, a director of lead gen, and I had Alex, and they were both up to me to train. It does get very it gets very complicating, or very very time consuming. I'm being spread, not only doing what I have to do, but now I'm needing to manage and control like what each one of them are doing, and then circling the loop and doing all that. And so what I'm just going to say is, and this leads into my showing partner conversation, but this is what I see. You're already working with Bailey. Basically, we'll use the word dating. You're dating Bailey. He's your showing partner. Things are going really well. If I would give advice or best practices, I would put all my attention into a rock star. You're hiring your executive assistant and pouring your resources into the development and the training and the hiring and the process of the executive assistant, and tell Bailey right now that, hey, this is working amazing. I do want to continue this process. I do want to take you career visioning. I think it's going really well. I want to explore this. But what would ultimately be valuable to you is if I had the operations and the systems and an assistant that you could plug into, that I could plug into, this would be a huge benefit to us. So from an order of priority, that's the reason why I asked, like, which one would be best, or which one would solve the most problems. In my opinion, if
Okay.
you got the EA and you went through career visioning and you hired her and you did like a rock star 30, 60, 90, and you were devoting your time and energy and resources officially to her, while in the same time, hey Bailey, you're my showing partner, let's meet, like join our team meetings, here's my buyers, let's do KPA, let's go through this. But just so you know, it's really going to be hard for me to do. I recommend doing like a weekly 411 with everyone, to do some training to do that. You could make it official with the EA while still being like dating or like, whatever with Bailey. And then when you get 30 days in or 60 days in with the EA, that's when you say, all right, Bailey, let's make this official. Let's sign on the dotted line. And then you could train him a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90-day. When Gene Rivers talks on the ALC, he said the flow of getting to level 4, you could do very easily, because you could technically hire someone every 90 days, but it's like, while you hired this one person, you're out looking for your next hire. You get this one person through the 90 days, then you can hire someone else, get them through the 90 days, hire someone else, get them through the 90 days, is still a lot. And so I'm curious as your thoughts on that, Terry.
I think that's great. I know that if we're going to make it official with him and have to go, I want to go through the proper steps in the career visioning, and just monetarily to him to make more sense too. And I wanted to talk to you about that, how that works, because I'd have to, figure out buying out his productivity and all that, which I need another conversation with you about that, how to do that. So I'm fine with doing that. I want him to know that I am very interested in working with him, and I don't want to lose him either. But I feel like we're going through the same thing now anyway, so why not make it official? But now what you said about that does make sense. If I set it up that way, that's fine with me, and I can still work with him and train him on the showing partner and stuff. So I mean, that's fine. It's just I guess it's really how the commissions are handled and how it's handled with him on the other side as far as his cap and all that. So that looks very different on his side than if he's not officially with me,
Yep. And the cool thing about that is, like, if he's $2,400 into paying his cap and then it gets lowered to 4, because if everyone doesn't know, like, the true showing partner that only does showing partners doesn't do anything on their own. They can't work their own buyers. They can't work their own sellers. It is down to $4,000. If let's just say he paid 2,400 into it, we wouldn't start him over at that point. He would still only have to, we could just cut it down to 4 and he would have 1,600 left.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So I wouldn't worry about that, because I don't think he'll pay $4,000 in by the time you would be ready for him.
Okay.
So that's good to know. Like, that was a concern. And so what this is showing partner as a whole. We just had our ELT meeting and we talked around this, because showing partner is the buzz right now. Like, I did it, CJ did it, Lisa did it officially, right? A year ago, no one had it. And so now it's the cool buzzword. So there's a couple of things to really think about with a showing partner, because now all the new agents that are like good, all the new PC agents are like, ooh, I want to be a showing partner. There is, and Terry and Bailey are a perfect example. So there's nothing to stop Bailey or Terry from asking Bailey, hey, be a showing partner for these buyers. You're gonna, anytime they need the door open, you're gonna do it. And when the house closes, you're gonna get 15%. there's nothing to prevent that. Like as you start to see fit, because what I wouldn't want as a rainmaker to have my brand trusted to like any random new agent. Oh, go show this house for me. Go open this house. I don't know if they're a mass murderer. Now, hopefully you can trust that we're not hiring any mass murderers, but that still doesn't mean that you would really necessarily want to trust everyone that we hire with your clients, because they're ultimately an extension of you. If they show up late, if they're not dressed right, if what, fill in the blank. And so you have like a couple of these people, and as a rainmaker, we're following the model. We're saying our first hire now is an EA. And the reason why the first hire is an EA is because when you then have an agent, you have so much more valuable to that agent, so much more value to that agent, because they don't want just leads. They want to have stuff done for them. They want to be able to have leverage too. So you've got Bailey, and you could just say, I'm going to give you my buyer. I'm going to give you my buyers. You're going to work. Every buyer is my showing partner. We're going to tell people that we work with, hey, this is my team member. This is my partner, Bailey. But that doesn't mean that it has to be inked on our end. And the way I would mention it to them is, I really want to focus on getting this down, getting my team structure down. And in the meantime, work with you. And when we do this, it's going to be so beneficial. Like, even he'll get a little more experience. You won't have to pay out his, as if he closes any deals, it's less that you have to buy him out at, or quote unquote, whatever. You could also give him a buyer lead if you just didn't want anything to do with it. You could say, here's a buyer lead, because he's not a showing partner yet. So go work this buyer. Give me, 50% or 20, whatever you work out. And he could go do that too.
Okay.
From a buyer partner's perspective, what we have to do is we have to do a economic model for them. And what I mean by that is, when we hired Kyle, we were at a scaled point of, if he closed 80 deals at 15%, that's starting to become a lot of money. But if they're going to close only like 10 or 15 or 20 deals at 15%, they got to know, like, what is their expected income in that first year. Because again, as a showing partner, that's their only income. Their only income can be from showing deals and from anything they refer to you at, 15% or 20% or whatever you come up with. So just simple math. Let's say you had 10 deals. Let's say you had 15 deals to close at 250,000. They're making 13,500. So it's like, does this showing partner know that they're probably going to cap out at like 20 grand if they give you some leads and whatever?
Yeah, I'd like to comment on that, because I have a showing partner that's going to be starting mid-April. And there's a conversation that we had. Like I said, all I can do is look retrospectively. I can tell you this past year how many deals I did. But now that I have the assistance of a showing partner, maybe not double that number, but maybe, another 25% of that we could count on. So I kind of bumped it up as to what I'm expecting with the showing partner, and then did the math for her. This is what I made. This is what 15% would look like for her, for you. So in her situation, she nannies a couple mornings a week. So, we have an agreement, like, Monday and Thursday morning, she can nanny till noon, but other than that, she's going to be showing homes. But, and then hopefully if we end up being even busier yet, then she can do this 100%. But it was really important to work those numbers, because I didn't want to give false hope either.
Scott,
Yep.
Can I ask how many transactions Kyle is a part of per month with Jen? Approximately average?
Well, Jen basically uses him 100%. So
Right.
She started off the year slow, but let's just say 50 deals, 60
Okay.
deals. Jen's goal is 72 for the year. and she wants to use him 100% of the time.
72. Holy crap.
Yeah, because, that's the whole point of a showing partner is like, what you get a smaller piece of the pie, buyer agent, but would you rather do 72 deals and not show any houses and make 35%? Or would you rather do 40 deals, do all the work and make 50%? You're actually making more money, working less, having more freedom. And so it's like the ultimate growth of a buyer agent. You're turning a buyer agent into you're basically turning a buyer agent into a listing specialist. If you think about it, the only difference between a buyer agent and a listing agent is that a listing agent doesn't have to show the properties. So you go, you do the listing appointment, the buyer consultation, you get the listing agreement signed, which is the buyer agency. You send them off into the wild. It's very similar to a listing appointment, a listing contract. You send it off to the wild. You let all the other listing agents sell your house. Well, now you're letting a showing partner do all the work. They get something they want. You write off the offer, and then you take it home. But Jill, I love that you said that, because this is what's needed. If you're ever going to quote unquote hire a showing partner to your team, like full time. So this is what an economic model would look like. And so it says, all right, how many, let's say, Terry, how many buyers do you think that Bailey would close for you as a
This
showing?
coming year?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say I figured it out. Let me see. 26. It would be, the goal is like 36.
Okay. So 36 buyers, and you have what's your average sale price about?
It is, I believe, 280.
Damn. Okay. So if he closes 36 buyers, and I don't know if you can see my screen.
I can.
Okay. He closes 36 buyers. So this is saying your average sale price is 280. The average commission is 2.4%. His split is 15. So if he closed 36 buyers, he would project to make $36,000. Okay.
Okay.
Now, let's say he refers you 4 listings and you have them on the same split, just out of whatever, 15%. Well, now you can say, okay, now you're going to make 40,000. And you say, what, Bailey, is, 40,000 a year in your first year? Is that, tell me about that. Like, what do you need? What do you need for income? What do you need for money? Now, with someone like Bailey, who's is he like 22 or 3 or something?
I don't know.
For someone like him, it's a lot different. For someone like Kyle, it's a lot different, because there's also all of the things he's learning, like getting into that, like the team meetings and the culture and the industry and how we talk and what we say and opening all the doors and being with the clients. Like that stuff is invaluable for someone that's getting started in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
But this would be the first conversation. Let's just say you only had 20 buyers for them to close, and they gave you 4 listing referrals. Well, that's 25 grand they would make. And I don't know of too many people that would like jump up and down, for 25 grand in essence.
Right.
And so one thing that came to mind is why we don't necessarily need a showing partner to be a team member, but we could meet with someone that we love, or 2 people, and say, I want you to be a showing partner for certain buyers of mine. And maybe it's 40% of them or 80% of them or however many.
Okay.
I'm going to put you in my buyer presentation and as my showing partner. And, basically to the public, nothing changes. But that way, if Bailey in the meantime gets a listing lead or gets a buyer lead of his own, he can work that. He can do that, so it'd actually be beneficial for him.
Right.
And the last thing I mentioned that I just thought of today, if you're a showing partner, Just picture this. You're a showing partner. If you got an offer accepted on your first day, you're probably not going to make that 15% for at least 45 days. So let's just say this. Your average sale price, you close a $280,000 home, and the best case scenario is that you'll make $1,000 in 45 days. That's your only source of income. Now, the likelihood of them making an offer on day one is slim to none. Now they're driving around Timbuktu and back. They're giving up. They're basically like delivering babies with the urgency. Like they never have a schedule because a home is on the market. Oh, a baby needs to be delivered. Gotta go. They're driving around using gas money. I never thought of this, but it might be a very, very good consideration if you're going to hire a showing partner, to have a binding period where, like, for the first 2 months or 3 months, you're giving them $1,000 a month or something just in a salary, just to give them some money. I think it would be a very fair win-win for each person because they're doing so much work up front and they're not making any money. Now, Kyle was like scraping pennies, and it's like at some point you almost feel like you're taking advantage of them, but we worked into it where he was helping us with a lot of our website stuff, a lot of our lead stuff, and so he's actually on a salary for stuff that he's doing for that. So does that make sense from
Yeah,
from an aspect
is
of a
that
showing
something I
partner?
should offer him to help me? Because I know he could be really good with social media and stuff.
Yeah. And I think, Allison, were you interested in like a showing partner too, or?
Yeah, I put in the comments that I would benefit from a conversation around pros and cons of a buyer agent versus showing partner.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I've been thinking through what a showing partner would look like for me, and I'm not sure how confident I would be in being like, all right, Allison, they want to write an offer and I haven't seen the house. I know nothing about anything. So I just, from a leverage standpoint, I would almost feel more comfortable just hiring a buyer agent right away versus showing partner. Because it just, I don't know, it seems like more black and white versus a little gray area with showing partner.
Yeah, no, that's a great so that's a great question. And when you really look at when everything kind of clicked in my mind is when I learned the budget model. And so when I'm really taking a deep dive into my cost of sales and my expenses and keeping into that 30-30-40 model, if you look at the way the first 4 levels are set up, is this an expense or a cost of sale?
Cost of sale.
The admin?
Expense. That's what I said.
Yep. A transaction coordinator could be either or, but a TC type, there's typically probably some expense and some cost of sale, but not a ton, not a high cost of sale. It'd be like a couple $100 a closing. So your first 2 hires are very, very little cost of sale, which goes against everything that people think of. It's like, oh, cost of sale, that's less risk. But guess what happens with less risk? It typically costs you, the rainmaker, more. So if you actually total up the number of showings a showing partner did for you and just gave them $25 versus giving them 15%, you're going to spend more giving them 15%, 9 out of 10 times, but it's less risk for you. You don't have to pay it up front. So everything with the cost of sale, because it's more convenient and less risky for you, it's going to cost you more money. And so that's why we have to have this happy medium of a blend of expenses, which is more risk to you, but ultimately cost you less. And then the cost of sales, which is less risk to you, it costs you more. So if you look at the 3rd level, These are you have very, very little cost to sale. It's you, okay, you being a boss bitch or whatever, a rainmaker right here, and you keep everything, right? You just have your expenses and you're like, damn, I am way too busy doing the showings, managing the transactions, doing all the paperwork. I need help. And where everyone goes for help is, I'm going to go hire an agent. Well, that just means there's too busy people with no systems or help. So the model says, you do all your appointments, you do your 5 things, you script practice, you lead generate, you follow up on your leads, you go on appointments, and you negotiate contracts. And if you're too busy to do those 5 things, then go hire.
Yeah.
If you're too busy to do those 5 things and your paperwork, go hire someone to do your paperwork, go hire an admin. And now you're just doing your 5 jobs as a realtor. You're leading your admin, and now you're too busy for that, or your admin's too busy to do all the admin work, and probably the TC work. Your first hire is going to do all that. So you say, all right, which one would you rather do? Would you rather do the transaction coordinating, or would you rather do the paperwork? And that person says, blah, whatever. Well, go hire the other piece of the coin. So now you're doing those 5 things, plus you got your leadership hat, and then your TC's being done and your admin work's being done. And when you're too busy to do your 5 things, which includes appointments, you got to say, all right, I need some leverage on this appointment piece. And the 4th level now, the new way it goes is it says showing assistant. And the reason why it says showing assistant is because you're going on all your listing appointments, and then you would basically be doing buyer agent appointments, treating them like listings. Like I said, you're giving up 15% versus probably like 50 or 40. And so you're keeping your cost of sales really low. And when the model says, all right, now not even showing houses, you're too busy to do lead gen, script practice, lead gen, lead follow-up, listing appointments, buyer agency appointments, and negotiate contracts, you're too busy for that. Well, that's when you would want to either hire a lead manager, someone to convert those, or go into like a full-blown buyer agent at that point. And the part 4, level 2 says, all right, now I have a buyer agent, and now I'm not doing anything with the buyer. All I'm doing is I'm getting the lead, I'm passing it on to this person. This person's gonna do the consult, they're gonna sign the agency, they're gonna get everything accepted, they're going to be that person. So your appointments now got cut probably almost in half, if not more, and you're just really at a high level. You're leveraging piece by piece by piece with everything. So to answer your question, there's no, like, it would be up to you whether it's a showing partner or a buyer agent. I do think that because it's such a new concept and a new role, I would hate for that decision to be made because it was like a lack of a script or a lack of a mindset or a lack of something of that nature, versus like, nope, this is why I want to do it. And because of this, because I had a huge limiting belief around showing partner and it even working, because I think I'm handing off a buyer to a buyer agent, and now a buyer agent's handing off the buyer to a showing partner, and it's like hand off, like that doesn't work. It can never work. But then I'm going to these national events and everyone's crushing it with the showing partner model, and I start diving into like, okay, this isn't a handoff, this is a partner, this is even more support. There's so much to it. And so then it like helped me, and it's like, okay, let's figure this out.
Yeah.
We do need to cover our ass though, which is going to be on a team meeting, because ultimately that's going to be on you if something comes out. Like, think of this, and I'm just giving you stuff to think about, but in this market where we're not having an inspection and you have a buyer and you have a showing partner, and that showing partner shows the home, and you never go in the home, and you never go in the home for inspection, and you never go in the home for a walkthrough, you never go in that home, and now a year later, something happens, like something wasn't disclosed or something like that, and they say, yeah, my realtor never even went in the house.
Right.
Like, you're opening yourself up for a can of worms.
I have been going in the house once we, once we're going to write an offer. So I've been trying to make a point of doing that.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
There's one I couldn't though, because I was sick this weekend and I didn't know if I had COVID or not. So that's one I haven't even gone in, which makes me very nervous.
So I used Kyle. He showed a house for me last week. He was phenomenal. Like, my buyer was like, oh my gosh, so he like had a flashlight. He's showing me the corners of foundation. Like, he was super thorough. And then after the showing, he called me, he said, Jill, this is what I think of the price of what they're asking. This is the condition. This is what I saw. I was like a huge fan. I'm just like, he truly was my eyes. And I mean, I feel and we ended up writing on it and we ended up getting it. I feel totally comfortable knowing the condition of that home.
Yeah,
So,
I guess that's my, that would fulfill my concern,
yeah,
is to make sure that the showing partner or a showing assistant is properly trained as best as they can be. So I get that absolute, like, 100% feedback of the condition, and any other details that I should know about. So
I had 2 bad experiences with buyer's agents in the past, and that's why I'm going to a showing partner model. The one point that I would mention about buyer's agents is they really want a lot of leads. So if you're not like paying for paid leads and like just have a huge funnel of business coming in, they get antsy real quick, like there's not enough work for them. At least that was my experience.
yeah.
And Kyle and, your team, Scott, I mean, they're really pioneering this, and he's like doing it like a system, and it's really great. It's very impressive. Everything he's doing for this.
Yep, cool. And I love hearing that. And yeah, it came with some hiccups, it came with some bad, a couple bad perceptions possibly, but it's like, we believe in it, and this is what it is. This is what we're providing. And so this all does boil down to talent too. Like, if you find the right person, it all takes care of itself. But to Allison's point, to Jill's point, to Terry's point, there is no harm in quote unquote dating a showing partner, letting them be a full agent and saying, go work your database, go do a 36 touch, do all this stuff. I'm going to give you 5 buyers to be showing partner on. So you have the potential to make this 15%. You're going to go learn about how to open houses and what questions buyers ask. And it's like a huge learning opportunity for them, especially for Allison and like Terry right now. You guys are looking at building up your EA, your admin division, which is the heart and soul of your whole company, your whole business. And by the time you now find someone that you've been dating, you say, oh, like, wow, you're actually a really good fit. You'd make a good extension to my team. Let's move you into either an official showing partner for my team, or, here, now you can be a buyer agent. But it's like leveraging things piece by piece.
So at what point do you say it's time? So if I hired a showing assistant, at what point do I say, okay, now it's time for a buyer agent? Like when I'm more busy with buyer leads, or what?
Yeah, the question, and I don't know if anybody watched that five steps of organizational leverage with Jay and Gary. Like, that was our homework assignment from last week. I didn't bring it up till now. But that hour like breaks things down so great and eloquently, and like questions to ask yourself, and what you can do. And really it comes down to, the first question is, am I too busy to do these 5 job duties and the paperwork? Yep. Okay. I need an admin. And it's like, now I'm too busy for the next thing. And when you get to the point where it's like, I'm too busy going on listing appointments, buyer appointments, and doing what I need to do, generating leads and practicing scripts. Well, that's the point when you would say, I need a full-time buyer agent, because I want to leverage all that piece off of my plate. And then when it's like, I'm too busy to do my script practice, my lead gen, my lead follow-up, and go on listing appointments. Well, now you're like, shoot, I need a listing specialist. Because what you don't ever want to give up, or the last thing you want to give up, is your lead gen, your script practicing, your leadership, that piece to it. And you give up the things in order of value to you, your time, your return of investment with your time. There's no better way to spend your time than going on a listing appointment and getting a listing sold. The second best use of your time is working with a buyer, although probably not right now. Or doing a buyer agency is a great use of your time. If you thought, okay, I have a buyer agency appointment and I get that signed, and that took me an hour, and then I have a showing partner do all the showings, and then I write say 3 offers now because the first 2 didn't get accepted. So that's probably 3 more hours of work. And then you had a TC and you had admin and things. You might spend like 5 hours and you make 85%, you might make $5,000. So you're making basically like $1,000 an hour. So if you look at like a return of your time, that's an amazing thing. So I wouldn't leverage that away until you absolutely have to. When that return on your time is stifling you from generating more leads and going on more listings, which is better use of your time, then you would dump it.
You got a
I have
boogie,
to
Scott.
run a little early today because I have a cool, it's Rebecca Stuckert. She has a really good, like this nutritional lady that's doing a whole bunch of testing on me to just get me to like max performance. And it's it's right down the road, but I'm going to go to that. And I wanted to have CJ and Katie kind of just like take us home here, because CJ does have this showing partner model. My one thing I wanted to just portray is the win-win for the showing partner, the new agent, and for us as rainmakers is having them work as a showing partner without necessarily jumping to join your team, especially as they're going through that PC program. And then I know Katie wanted to talk about the OSA, ISA stuff too. So there's a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Have fun with the
Right?
kids.
Hi, Scott.
I love this. This was like so much fun today.
I have a
Get healthy.
process. I was going to say, I have a process document for the showing partner actually that I can share with you guys too, where we laid out, like, just the way that the showing partner works with the agent, how the agent is explaining the showing partner in their buyer consultations, etc. Mostly just so that we had it documented, but also I presented in our like admin Facebook group on it. So I wanted it to be laid out so that I could talk about it in a easier fashion. So, but I think that's been helpful for us. So I can definitely share that with you guys if that would be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. That would help me.
Yeah.
Who's CM?
Charles Manson. Just kidding. Don't take offense to it. I'm just having fun.
I don't.
Hey, move on to the next topic, Katie. I want to share because I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta share this, but I didn't want to cut off Scott. But like when it came to like, hey, when is a good time to take that showing partner to the next level and say, hey, become my buyer's agent? So right now, both my showing partners are operating the capacity of a showing partner. I tell them they have every opportunity, just like everyone, to source leads. So as soon as you source, I think I put 12 is our minimal for a team. You source 12 closings for the year, then you've proved yourself. You actually know how to lead generate. And so that's what it takes to be, say, a lead buyer's agent. Like you are a lead generating machine, you are converting, and then you're going back to lead generating and converting.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd throw that piece out there. That's what I have for them. It's a dangling carrot, you know. I mean, as you know, Bella Allison, I said, you know, there's nothing stopping you from becoming a buyer's agent, is what I told her.
Yeah.
So as soon as you can start, you know, I said, I want you to source more leads than Tina does, because then that means, heck, you should be the lead buyer's agent and Tina can still be one. We can have more than one. It's fine. So there's that piece. Also, something that was interesting, and when you do it through the trial run, and also I learned this, I was looking at other potential showing partners, right? A lot of folks that are showing partners, I want to be a showing partner. They usually tend to be in the newer side, so cash flow is very important to them. So there was a couple when I was talking to them, they would rather take, so you know, the model suggests 15% for a showing partner, right? There's a number of them that said, you know what? I'd rather show that first house for you for this client for $50, and then every single one after that, $20. Like there was a couple of them that said, I'd rather get that cash money now. And I'm like, you know, you can make more if you waited until closing. But nope, that's what they said. And then as ironically, I was in a mastermind with somebody, with my MAPS coach's clients, and there's actually Tim that's doing that. And he's like, he's like, I feel bad. He's like, I'm making more when they could, but they can't wait for closing. Like at the end of like a client, I pay them $500 and they could have made 2,000.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah, so I just thought I'd throw that out there.
I'm curious, CJ, like when you proposed to Bella, like not proposed to her, you didn't propose to her. When you said, this is what your compensation looks like you're going to be making around whatever, up to $20,000. I don't know. What number did you give her when you said like what amount she could be making?
It was reverse psych. It was almost like reverse psychology. What is it that you need to make? And then it's literally, you know, we all have spreadsheets of the economic model. And literally, I just adjust the commission so it produced her number. And so we just put in how many closings you got to do based off of our present average sale price and average commission. And also, we just kept changing the number of how many closings. And that was just closings that operate at the capacity of a showing partner, did not necessarily source the lead. Because we have it where it's 50%. If you're a showing partner, you source the lead, you get another 10%.
Okay.
So we broke it down like that, which is really cool. This is really neat. So actually at the end, for her income, she wanted to close out 48 buyer closings. I'm like, fantastic. Your lead buyer agent doesn't want to show another freaking house and she wants 52 closings. So there you go.
Okay.
So we were able to say, we can give you that, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then it was a win-win.
Okay.
Now, if she wanted more, I'd be like, well, then you guys start lead generating like a mofo.
Yeah. Okay. So she brought in her own lead. You gave her an additional 10% on top of the 15.
Yeah, I'm just following what Lifetime's doing, and I think Joe and
okay.
I think they're doing the yeah.
Okay. All right.
Can you explain 15% of what?
Yeah, sure. I've never drawn in this. I wish I could try. I don't think I'm the host. I can't draw. So you got to pretend. So actually, let's just say it's $100 for the closing, right? And so $15 would go to the showing partner. So whoever's showing all of the houses, tends the home inspection, tends any follow-up inspections, does not attend the final walkthrough. The lead buyer's agent attends that. That's just us. Because learned that from Jen. She says you just got to connect with them. And then when you see them at closing, it's a lot more comfortable. Although it's like, hey, closing here, click my check. Nice to finally see you in person.
Right.
So it's 15% off to the showing partner. And then the 25% would go to the lead buyer's agent. So in this case, it's Tina, and she doesn't show houses anymore unless we have more showings needed than people to show houses. So
Okay.
she's like a backup. So literally you're only, like Scott said, yeah, you're potentially doing 25% of the deal. Whereas the old model as a buyer's agent, you're like 40, right? Problem is you're also showing your houses. So 25 plus 15, ironically, is 40%. So then there's that little carrot of 10% more. Did you source the lead buyer's agent, or did I as the rainmaker? So if I did, the splits are still 60-40. If the buyer's agent sources it, they're getting then 25 plus 10, which is 35. So they're not getting the 40, but they never left the house and they sold the house.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I
You
have
wanna-
a quick question.
Yeah,
Can I jump
please.
on? Sorry. Oh, looking like a, anyways, was running through the rain collecting lock boxes, but, so I am ready to like take the next step to do something. It's a little overwhelming to even think about like the hiring process. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like in my own world getting overwhelmed, but I'm like, oh my gosh, it seems like a really big challenge. But I'm nervous that my clients are going to feel gypped, that I am not like the face, like they connect with me. I am the face of my brand. And I know I can make other people the face too, right? Like team photos and introductions. I know that your team is doing like a team spotlight, and I get the point of that. I kind of see like the reason why you're doing that. I get it from a marketing standpoint. So I get that stuff, but my fear still is that like, okay, like you said, you get to close and you're like, you know, I don't know. I just am like so nervous. They're going to be like, no, we wanted to work with you. If you're not the person we're working with, then why did I do this? Like, is this person as good as a negotiator as you? Do they have, and maybe that's in the process that you find that out, but I know I trust myself and I have a hard time, I guess, maybe releasing the trust to others. So I don't know. Whatever. It's my 2 cents.
Felt
Question.
the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
And
ran
I
into
know-
this with our showing partner. For
Sure.
sure. I mean, there were some clients with Jen where they were like, well, what do you do then? Like, what do you get paid for?
Right.
Like, I mean, all kinds of questions like that. So that's really where we then figured out, okay, we need to really have Kyle in on the buyer consultation, and the communication is with all of them all at the same time. So
Like
like
CC
anytime-
emails and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, exactly. Anytime that
Three-way
Jen reaches
texting.
out to them, texting, it's all Kyle's included. It's, you know, after Kyle shows a home, he's calling Jen or texting her and telling her like, hey, they said this, or they mentioned that their dog would like this, or like little things like that you'd probably pick up on if you were there, for Jen to know. So then Jen can follow up with them and say, hey, I heard great things about the house. I heard you liked this and this, like, tell me about it, or something. So they're not repeating what they already told Kyle, but they
Right.
feel like Jen knows. But I could see that being hard. I don't blame you.
Yeah. I want to do the right thing for my family. Like it's to the point where I feel like when CJ said, oh, you're like leaving again. Like his kid was like, oh, you're leaving again. I thought it was like our time together. And I'm like, whoa, right in the feels. That sucks. Like, but I'm like, I know it's the right move, but I also like worked super hard to grow this business. And now I'm too busy to keep up. I feel like I'm either making errors or missing out on business because I literally cannot do anymore at this point in time. I'm completely like swamped. So, but I also know the level of service I give, and I just don't want the clients to feel like, oh, you just shushed me off because, or, you know, you just kind of like put me on someone else's plate. But I guess if it was all, you know, if everything was like multiply, what am I trying to say? If everything was communicated across the board and I was still like at least showing my face and speaking my 2 cents, and seeing the house, I guess, at some point, then maybe it would be workable. It is so true. Like if you never see the house, you're like, cool, thanks for my money. Sorry, I didn't do anything except train all these people and take all the responsibility, but you know. They don't know
Even
that.
Jen was
Scary
saying too,
cool.
she had, she does a lot on the front end, and she said before, she's like, I have more time to do more research for them and to do different things that I didn't have before because I'm not in my car driving to wherever that is. So she's like, I actually feel like I can provide more information to them now than I could before they had Kyle, from a showing partner perspective. So, and then,
Okay.
but they
Well,
like
Kyle seems
emphasize it.
amazing. Can he be duplicated or like?
I know he is working on, he would love to create like a showing partner like training or like something along those lines to be able to help other people to kind of go down that path. I know.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
I think it's just a limiting belief that we all struggle with, because even the transaction coordination, I had trouble letting go. And now I'm like, I don't even want to touch it. Like, don't even.
See, I
We're-
still am
When's
not there.
closing?
I know I need to do that. I have interviewed people and I've just never committed because, and I'm telling you, I'm in my own head like 100% because I keep thinking like, well, it's going to be so much work to teach them what to do. I don't have time to do that.
mhm.
And I am in my own head so hardcore. I think that I just need to like bite the bullet, and I know I need the admin. I've been working on that. I just haven't committed yet. And everyone's like, it'll change your life. So.
And I have to say too, I just started working with a showing partner as well. And I had a hard time with that too. Like I wasn't going to be meeting with the clients, like building that relationship. And
Yeah.
actually now that we're on like three-way text and they know when to come to me, and then I'm doing the offers and they've been great. They're like complimenting how great Bailey is, but then they always still come to me for the questions and writing the offer. So if you
Okay.
set the expectations from the beginning, it makes a huge difference. And it's like he's an extension of me now. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
really
I guess
great.
that makes sense that they would still come to you for questions. He's just opening the door
Mhm.
and walking them through the property, but you're still answering questions and still developing a relationship. I guess I totally,
But
yeah.
he's being super impressive though too. He's stepping up his game and he's acting a lot like the way Kyle's doing it, where he's bringing a flashlight. He's bringing more information probably than I used to bring to showings at my point in my career. Do you know what I mean? Like he's really stepping up that position.
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, wow. So he's an extension of me, but he's really professional. And they're seeing that too and saying how great he is. So it's like, we're just better now altogether.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm almost embarrassed by myself sometimes how in a rush I am showing homes. Like I won't even know the list price of the house before I drive up to it because
Yep,
I'm
that
like,
is so true.
I'm
Yep.
like, oh shit, what are the details on this? Like, look at the MLS, Flex MLS app, like seconds before I show up. Like, that's not servicing my clients,
And for
100%.
the showing partner, that's part of their job and they're focused
Right.
on that and they are loving it. They're love getting into those details.
Yeah.
But I think it is important. Like there was one house that I didn't see and I'm just feeling really weird about it. I was going to go see it on Saturday, but I was sick, so I didn't. So I'm still going to go see it because like, it's just weird. I want to walk through the house. So maybe I'll get over that once, Bailey's more trained in what to look for, but in general, like it's been really great. So
Is
Yeah.
it not a part of our contract that or I feel like I read in some training that you actually have to see the house? Like,
I think it is. I'd have to
I think it
research
is.
that again. What do you think, CJ? Do you know, Katie? I think it is. I think it's in there. Unless because they're a part of us, that's considered us seeing it.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe that.
We have Kyle sign the buyer agency agreement. Like we added another line there for Kyle to be on there.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I believe that's what Jen and Kyle figured out and did. I don't know if it was to satisfy that or if it was just to cover them in the event that Kyle did mention something about the house. And I don't know a lot about that stuff or things you can or can't say about a house when you're showing it or whatever. I'm not a realtor, so, but it's something to cover him in that regard. But that is a good question.
What training did Kyle have? Like when I know obviously he went through career visioning and I'm just kind of getting into all that stuff, but what training and he was qualified probably from a personality standpoint, but did he shadow people for an extended period of time? Did people attend all the showings with him until he went off on his own? How did he get to be so?
Yeah, and he started off as an agent in our office pretty much right out of high school, I believe, actually. He got into real estate, and then he was just having a hard time getting some traction because, his database is just learning to drive. So they're not really the people that are like out buying a house right now. So I think he was running into some issues of not having a sphere and people to be able to call. So I don't know if he reached out to Scott or what happened, but he got connected to Scott to figure out like some other ways that he could help out people in the office. He started showing more homes. I know Jeremy and Jen did a bunch of, he shadowed both of them. And then they actually did some like test runs with him. So he would go through a house, talk through it like he would to a client, to Jeremy and Jen, or both of them, to be able to kind of like test him a little bit. And then ever since then, he still fills out a sheet after every showing to like make sure like a bunch of boxes are checked, from my understanding. So I think a lot of it has been like on the job though, from my understanding.
Would you be able to share that sheet that he fills out at the end?
Yeah, definitely. I'll reach out to him for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And also Jen and Kyle did a video about showing partner, and I have it in my email I could send out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I was going to say, I know email or video is a big thing for them, because Jen also had a fear, like you guys are saying, of not being able to like build that relationship because you're not actually like seeing them in person like you were before. And so they've worked on creating videos where Jen sends out a video like after they see a house, or Jen might even create a video after they've seen a house just to say like, hey, I heard you really like the house, like call me, or something like that. But just something for her face to be present to them as well, in addition to calling them, texting them, etc. So
yeah, this has been really helpful.
Right. The way that I look at it for you guys from an outsider's perspective, I feel like having somebody else take care of that stuff would then allow you guys who are, a lot of times I feel like people in your position, you guys are visionary people. You guys are big thinkers. And you don't have the time to really spend doing that. So imagine having that time back to then figure out like, oh man, I have X amount of hours that I'm not showing houses anymore. Now I can spend that time like figuring out how to elevate my customer experience. Or maybe during that time, you write like a handwritten note to those people saying you really are thankful that they're working with you, or like other ways that you can still be yourself. But just add another like layer of connection to those people too. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about how much time I would save not showing houses. And it's like, it's like a dream. I'm like,
way, Allison.
Yeah.
I'm showing houses, 2 different buyers right now.
You are?
Yeah, but I'm not. What I'm saying
I
is,
see.
Bella's at one,
Yeah.
Alex is at another,
Yeah.
with another client right now. Alex is then going to leave the appointment. He's going to pick up flowers because a client that I referred to our lead buyer's agent, and he's helping showing houses. She's got closing coming up next week, and she had somebody in her family pass away. So I said, like, Alex, can you get flowers and deliver to her house? And then he's going to write a note on there from, myself and the team.
That's nice.
And then I'm going to probably get this thankful, like, call. Sometimes, people just like, oh my God, this is my real estate agent. And they'll like put it on social media, which is even better.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've never even met this person in person. This is a past client who referred me to their daughter and said, you got to help her find and buy a house. I talked to her for about 5 minutes and I handed it off to Tina. Tina conveyed our value proposition of working together as a team. And I've spoken to her 3 times for maybe a minute or 2 in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It's weird, but cool.
And in this market, we're spending so much time writing offers. because
Yeah.
we're doing multiple offers for the same client. So that's taking up time. So having that leverage for the showing is helpful.
Yeah,
Legit.
exactly.
Yeah. Hey, for the sake of everybody's time, to be respectful of everyone, two things come to my mind, and help me out with this. Is there anybody's got anything that's like a dying need that they really want to like discuss a little bit more on, but not necessarily right now? Because I can stay later is what I'm suggesting. If somebody has something that we need to like really get through. And then the other thing is, I think it's always good, just like a 401. What's your big rock? What's your big need? What is it that you promise to commit to complete before we meet next month? I almost said next week. So your greatest need is what I'm suggesting. Put that top of the list. That is what you should look to. Well, that's your big rock. And then you're gonna break it down to baby steps to get it. So I can go.
I would say, so I know Dina Herman was on here, but she reached out to me regarding showing assistant opportunity. So I guess my big rock for next month is to hire, getting into the hiring process of a showing assistant.
You should put a date and deadline when you want to hire that person by. Just an idea.
I should. You're right.
I only know that because I've been asked to do the same.
While you're looking at that, mine is I'm going to have a more of like a training program for an ISA OSA hire that we're hopefully going to be making here soon. So by the end of April, that will be done. Or by the time we have this next mastermind, which is like the end of April.
Excellent, Katie. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine is going to be by our next meeting that I will have started the onboarding process of my new showing partner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll just say by our next meeting too, because why the hell not?
Well, you gotta think there's gonna be a little time, right? Cast the net, usually
I
a week or
know.
two.
Now that I'm so good at the KPA, I could just.
You can do it in 4 weeks if you focus on it.
Yeah, for sure. I would like to get Dina through it. Anyways, she's
Excellent.
should be a cool candidate.
All right. Anybody else that's on mute without a face that would like to say anything?
I still want to know who CM is. I don't know.
It's a mystery.
Well, it's not me.
Yes, we don't have to say anything.
I'm continuing through the process, with the KPA on the executive assistant. And then I'll keep working with the showing partner.
I think my goal is just to do the KPA. So, whoops. But do the KPA and then also restart send whoever I am thinking about following through with through the career visioning process in the team meeting. That kind of I haven't even thought about doing that. I just keep forgetting that there's all these awesome steps that we get to utilize. And so I think I just need to buckle down and do that.
When is Scott's training? Doesn't he have something this week for the KPA?
Yeah, it's tomorrow, but I can't make it. So the next one is June 10th, which I will be going to, but it's kind of far out. So he gave me the online, I can do the test through the link that they sent. But then I'll be attending the June 10th thing, actually with Michaela, who's on my team as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would say from now until the next organizational mastermind, you should have hired a TC. And it's not even, it's just focus title.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's necessary. I know it is necessary because I'm not doing my job to the best of my ability anymore. I shouldn't say that. I don't feel like I'm doing as well as as thorough as a job as I am used to doing because of how busy I am. So yeah. I think it's necessary. I've not attended a lot of trainings I just have had, I know everyone's busy, so please forgive my excuses, but I have a whole adoption thing going on, and I just feel like it's been really consuming. And so I haven't done like any trainings or gotten any deeper into anything. And so I need to start leveraging and learning about what KW has to offer. That's why I moved to this company. So yeah, I will work on getting my TC, and I don't know, I guess one of my questions would be, I have a agent on my team already. I did things really out of order. When I moved to KW, I already had an agent on my team, but they're doing buyers and listings, and I don't want to take anything away from her. I know that's her goal, but I don't know, has anyone had any experience with that, like coming over with a new team? Did you continue your past systems, or did you try to start over? And then I don't want, you know, Michaela to feel like I'm taking anything away from her either. I like want to be fair, obviously.
I personally don't have any experience with that, so CJ might know.
I just think of Jenny
Oh.
Wallach.
Oh.
Jenny Wallach did that. She's got 2 agents, 2 sellers and buyers.
Yeah.
So she has people doing both, right? Is what you're saying?
Yeah. She's a rock star.
Maybe I should talk to her and see how
I would
she streamlined that.
She has a private group, if I may suggest, and just listening. She's got stuff she does topics all the time, every week. And
Oh,
you may
okay.
even pick up some things on there for yourself.
Okay,
Sure, yeah, I'll invite you on Facebook right now.
thank you. That'd be great.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Cool. My biggest dilemma is tracking the crucial conversations, the 4 conversations. So no problem being a listing agent, no problem for a buyer's agent, but like, how in the heck do we track it for a showing partner? Oh, I thought I had it, but then I started playing with it and I'm like, oh my God, this is an Excel sheet or spreadsheet, and they just bore me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna paint a picture to my assistant and she'll probably put it together for me.
Yeah, there you go.
So that we all are held accountable. That's all.
Yeah,
Is that cool?
cool.
I have to run, guys. Great
Awesome.
meeting.
Yeah,
Thank
same.
you.
Have a great day.
Bye, you guys.
All right,
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Sweet.
Bye.